Okay, let me tell you that in the very second class, I have discussed about the context of new media. First, it is different from old media by way of privacy, by way of interactivity, by way of its searching ability, searchability, search element, and by way of display element and interpersonal communication. So there are some dimensions which will make new media different from old media. So that has actually set the context of understanding the basic, like basic features of new media. So if I ask you to comprehend the basic characteristics of new media, so you need to uh, tell me how new media is different from old media, not necessarily giving me one example that new media is mobile phone and internet, old media is television and radio. So most of the time, these are the two answers I usually get to see. So why new media is new? Because it has given us a new textual experience. It has given us an understanding of new body and you see human as well as message interface, and that's why also it is new because it has actually changed the whole you see production process of the message and also whole the orientation of the audience, and that's why also it is new. It is new because audience are no longer audience, they are also active prosumer. They're active prosumer, they're producer as well as consumer. They're not simply the consumer of the message, and that's why audience also define in media why it is new, because audience has heightened the participation in that platform of the media. So it is new media just because it has heightened participation of this audience through different innovative technology which are often disruptive, and hence it is new media. If you want me to set the context, it is new media just because of this element like participatory, element like collaborative, element like play, element like interactivity, element like hypertextuality or multimediality, element like privacy and also autonomy, increasing autonomy, element like you see informational search ability. It is distinguished, it is different from old media. So there are so many characteristics of new media to distinguish itself. We are getting to distinguish itself to make it different from old media. In old media, television and this radio, we simply say that these are mass media. And we often ask student, and even you would also like to be asked by someone, how will you conceptualize new media? The very first question perhaps an outsider will ask you, or like when you go for a job interview, you might also get these questions. How will you conceptualize new media and how it is different from old media? I do not have much idea about new media. Because you see, new media is also comparatively new in India. Okay, so there are not many books also written in the very first class. I have also told you that there are not many books written on new media by even Indian authors. So there are some books written on new media by Western authors. So language is also a bit different because their understanding of new media is much more progressive and advanced. So as you could actually see a bifurcation of there is a difference between developed and developed countries, developing countries in terms of technology, infrastructures, and that has impacted our culture also, impacted our autonomy, self, impacted our community, right? Impacted how we think, the way we think, right? So the available socio-economic development has actually impacted the way we think, right? So that differences has also impacted upon the media. So media, because it is actually a a pillar in the society, right? It's a fourth pillar of the society. As it is a pillar within the society, hence media also getting impacted by different socio-economic variables. Right? Mass media at the same time impacted by the socio-economic variables compared to new media. So new media, it's new just because it has got different features, like interactivity features is there. That's what makes it new, unlike old media. When you talk about old media television, you do not see any kind of interactive features. Now you see, aligning to new media or getting inspired by new media, television screen started using some of the interactive component. Even in the screen you get to see lot of interactive component are there. So like there is also scroll of news, that is also a bit interactive, looks interactive. They have used that medium phone in now. to ensure interactivity between the audience and the producer. So these are some devices to ensure interactivity, but this technology doesn't have interactivity embedded in it. But new media, you look at this internet and mobile phone, they do have that interactivity features. Okay, and interactivity has been ensured by this technology called hypertext or hyperlink. So I have discussed about the narrative properties of hyperlink and hypertext so that you can understand what hypertext is all about and how hypertext has ensured interactivity in new media. So it's very, very important. New media is different from old media, traditional media by way of interactivity. Right. So interactivity has been ensured by hyperlink. Now, when you see this hyperlink basically known as hypertext, that is actually line up the existing resources in the network. Now you see, I thought of actually discussing about the evolution of new media. Now I have also posted one video lectures that is not that important for midterm because I have already submitted the question paper. I thought of taking a class and then set the question paper, but it did not happen. Whatever I have taught you, I have already compiled a question paper and submitted it on Wednesday itself. So that is not important, the evolution of internet. But if you look at evolution of internet also, we started with internet was not the first one. So we had computer, right? Then we moved to internet. So a system that actually link those resources that computer that is being hosted by this computer. So there are millions of resources, and each computer actually designate a person, designate an individual, designate a groups, right? So if internet is a network of resources and people, and you see these groups, then you also see that it has ensured that interactivity just because it had that network. And a very basic principle that actually characterize the internet is the galactic networking and public switching. So these are the two very important principles: galactic networking and public switching. One is galactic networking, and you see, and packet switching. Sorry, this is also packet switching. So these are the two very important characteristics of internet. At the same time, you might also say new media, but new media, the components is much more broad. So in an abstract way, we can say new media, like a mass media. So when you say television, we are much more specialized. No, television, we are talking about the radio, we are specialized. Okay, so that is a single entity. It itself is a single entity. So broadcast is there, broadcast media. So when we talk about the broadcast is basically meant to communicate at a distance. So new media, you cannot even say there is no communication at a distance. Communication at a distance is there, but it ensures the feedback, instantaneous feedback. In mass communication, we had a delayed feedback. Okay, so that was the first difference in mass communication when you talk about the feedback. Actually, there is late feedback. Even if there is a feedback was ensured later on, but it was delayed feedback. But here in new media, you can actually get instantaneous feedback. And why new media is called a media communication and mass media is called mass media. So mass communication. Mass communication is actually meant for television, radio, meant for mass, and it has also got a philosophy to educate the mass and even to promote some of the program of this government, to influence the mass, to influence the development, socio-economic development of the mass. Okay, and mass, when I say, I have also given a definition of the mass that heterogeneous group which are not organized at all, which do not have an objective. Okay, so they cannot even form a course of action. So they are heterogeneous groups scattered all around. They are not organized at all, do not have a goal, and do not have any organized course of action. But when you talk about a new media, it is made for public. Now, when you say public and public communication, it is different from mass communication. So you say, as it is public has that organization. You say heterogeneous mass organize with a goal, having opinion on each and every issue, and at a time they can form collective and take a course of action. Okay, so hence you see the audience have also termed differently. Mass communication, television and broadcast is for mass, heterogeneous, illiterate people. So you will also have a different programming skills. You need to adopt different programming skill to make them understand the message. And that has to be like, very simple. But here you see, abundance of information makes new media very complex. When we talk about the mass media or mass communication and media communication, so mass communication is communication through radio and television, and print and media communication is communication through basically new media, internet and mobile phone. And how differences is in terms of, you see, in terms of the public itself, in terms of the audience itself. One is meant for mass, one is meant for public. One is one way, another is two way. So mass communication is actually one way. It doesn't have that embedded interactivity. It's a one way, and we also had an imposed or enforced interactivity, which has given a delayed feedback. Okay, but here in new media, we already have a channel which has given you the options to interact instantaneously. So feedback is also very instantaneous, unlike the mass communication. So in media communication, you have two-way communications, and there are multiple channels. Instead of one channel, you also have multiple channels. And also you have two-way communication. And research were different, as I have already told you. Research in mass media is usually looking for content analysis. So content, the program, you watch the program, then you study the content. So different, in content also different techniques are there. Okay, there is semantic content analysis. Then also we actually study the textual analysis is also there. So these are some of the methods of research come under mass communication, mass media. In media communication research, we actually study the interface design of this website basically, because there are abundance of information. What will you choose? So even if you choose, you have to limit yourself. Okay, so you have to limit yourself. So basically you actually give a snapshot of this whole. If you are studying a Twitter account of someone, so you have to know the the that arithmetic and mathematical calculations. So because it is not simply number of heat, it has got a base got. Okay, so you also cannot even study some of the content. So one or two microblog you can even copy and paste. You can study some of the features. Yeah, that can be done, but basically you will be studying the interface. So in order to study the interface, you need to understand interactivity. So those features like navigational interactivity, adaptive interactivity, then I talk about this
So
functional
any new
interactivity.
feature can will come under new media.
New media. So interactivity is the very decisive feature. So I have actually posted different lecture video, and in the class I have discussed everything and a bit overlapping also. So if you listen to class lectures, so definitely you will understand the content. So apart from that, there are also other like an ego concept. I have told you that is identity. Identity is associated with the audience of mass media, unlike the self-actualization. Suppose I'm very alone. I'd like to talk to someone. Simply, I can get a friend in the social media that I could actualize. Even through telephone also. New media telephone is also not telephone. Today we do not have a telephone. Telephone has been replaced by mobile phone, and mobile phone device is a new media device. You see the timeline when mobile phone came, 1947 in Bell's Lake. It actually came in first time. If you look at the timeline also, so you can say it's a new media. It has replaced the telecommunication. But telecommunication, when you say the old telephone, that was actually part of, you say, the mass communication. But again, not even mass communication, because the features, what it gives, it ensures the interpersonal communication. When you say interpersonal communication between the two, it cannot be mass. Right, because mass communication will not give that facility, interpersonal communication. But new media will give that provision of interpersonal communication. I'm talking to you, you are talking to me. So telephone, earlier, telephone, even email. These are some of the example, even the chat also, interpersonal communication can be facilitated.
Ma'am,
Right, yeah.
can we call 21st century an age of new media or 20th century? Age of new media.
In when you talk about the evolution of this new media, let me tell you. So in order to know about this new media, you need to understand the evolution. Now, first thing you need to understand the difference between mass communication and new media. Okay, that is one question. I'll come to you. So here we have already talked about the ego concept and self-actualization. That is very, very important from social media angle also. Because when you talk about this media communication or communication through new media is basically a social communication. It will facilitate socialization. It will facilitate even that social communication. So you can talk to like-minded others. And there are some meeting groups, dating sites were also there. It has been criticized earlier, but now you also see that there are people who are not necessarily, this is a self-actualized need. People want some company and they actually they go to a dating site and find a company. So that is self-actualization. But that cannot be possible through even mass communication. That is not possible, right? So self-actualization has a difference. Suppose you love cooking, you're looking for someone, but you want to discuss and you want to discuss something related to cooking with someone, so that you can find in any kind of hobbies group or any kind of skill group which has been formed in social networking site, right? Through public or semi-public profile. You see, the social networking site, the whole design, interface design itself is interactive. Okay, interactive. It has created a public profile, semi-public profile, where you can create your own profile and you can also ensure the visibility of the profile. You can traverse the list of others. So in that way, you are in a constant network with others. Okay, that has facilitated the social communication, which is not possible in terms of radio and TV, right? And hence, that is one difference between mass communication and media communication. At the same time, social nature has of the communication has made the communication highly what highly self-actualized. So you can actualize even mother. I have told you number of mother you can commit on new media is like by the 18 a student a child can even commit a murder in the age of new media, because that can be actualized through video game. There are different technology, so actualize it. They love cooking, talking to someone else, getting the skill actualized. Okay, so it is not like they are thinking something, they're in an imaginative mode and they're yet to do it. They're simply go and do it. Like that, go and get it. So that is the attitude that has come with the younger generation also, and that is the part of self-actualization happen, and it is facilitated by this media communication or facilitated by the social aspect of media communication. Okay. Uh, do you have any question? Do you have any question? Yeah? No. Okay. So that's why you talk about the evolution. So there are other distinction also. You talk about the play features. Mass media, play features is there. When you talk about the function of mass media, function of mass media is to inform, function of mass media is to entertain, is to educate, is to create awareness, is to even persuade. Then you can talk about function of mass media is also to play, to entertain us, to play features. But here, the play features are different, interactive play features.
Ma'am, it can overlap, right? Both of the features can overlap, but it has new media is much more specific, and it
No.
has much more, I think.
No, you cannot say overlapping features because you need to justify what do you mean by overlapping features.
Overlap, as in like some of the features are common. Some of the features are common, like you said. Even here also, even in new media also, it can be for the masses, but like very selective for public.
New media is not for mass, it is for public.
Yeah, but ma'am, the same content that mass media is giving, new media also can give the same content.
Yeah, that is fine. Content, in terms of content, it will be similar because you actually see you use multiple media to create a content. So in a way, it will heighten your play experience in that way. That is similar. But yeah, commonality, some features are common, but not necessarily those features are related to interactivity, hypertextuality. Mass media doesn't have hypertextuality.
Correct.
You're talking about interactive TV. Interactive TV is not mass media. It's a part of that outlet itself is a part of new media. Interactive TV, where you can actually, we talk about this, the converged technology. We discuss about convergence also. So I have also given a question related to convergence. So study that lecture video as well as my lecture, recorded lecture. So you come to learn like there are different features like embeddedness, power management, which will make convergence possible. You know, so it is very very important to understand this converged device when you talk about the digital device like that microwave. Digital convergence. Like this is not about digital convergence as such. Convergence, when you talk about convergence, we talk about media convergence nowadays. We talk about the convergence in storytelling, ownership convergence is there, organic convergence is there, tactical convergence I have discussed about. There are these very terms of convergence are there, which actually facilitate media convergence. And that has impacted the the even journalistic practice. That has created a change and continuity into the journalistic practice. Okay, so you need to study. So more you study, more you go through the lectures, you will also get a clear idea about convergence. So when you are talking about convergence, we simply know okay, digital convergence means digitalization or packetizations or integrations of different media. So that is also, and even when you talk about this ownership convergence, it has facilitated the media convergence. Okay, so it's very, very important. Converse technology, microwave with a TV screen.
Okay.
It's not something which we actually talk about, like, in as a media which is meant for mass. It is meant for one specific segment, target consumers, those housewives who love cooking at the same time, they will also go and watch the TV. It's not that popular also. It's meant for that particular segment. Okay, so it's a converse technology. Okay?
Like it is for a
It's part
specific
of-
product.
It's a specific product. It's a specific product. It is meant for that particular segment of audience. Okay, so it is meant for that public. That we call it public only because highly targeted means a product meant for them. That's a converse product. Okay, like that way there are different groups which are getting accommodated themselves with the help of you see this new media. And media communication is different from mass communication at the same time. It's a communication. So in communication, research paradigm will come. In communication, your identity, how you relate yourself to that media will come. Okay. In communication, that features of media will come. Mass media has a typical features, but new media, you basically know and understand the features of new media. Like interactivity is a very important feature. Hypertextuality. Sneha asked me a question on hypertextuality. I have discussed about the narrative properties of hypertextuality because hypertext actually lined up all the resources. Right, it lined up all the resources which are available in the network. At the same time, it also given us the multilinearity. Multilinearity in the sense that placing the resources in different order, not in single order. In TV is a linear concept altogether. So one program finishes, another begin. So you cannot even get to see. Advertising comes in between, and that's a different strategy altogether. But in between Sajbahu serial, you won't get to find a news report. And there is a particular channel for Sajbahu. Even in a relation, you give me two example of serials. Like if you talk about there is a serial called Anupama in you say in Star Plus, and another serial you see this Ye He Sahate Ke something. Like you cannot even get a twist or in between two programs. One program ends, another begin. But in new media, so multilinearity actually said that it won't reader let finish one program, another will begin because links are there. So you might also get distracted by that link. Right, so that is what is multilinearity. With distractions, but there is a linearity into your thinking, not non-linearity into your thinking, which is also at times accommodated by different links. Multiple links are there. Yeah, it is related to links.
If there is
Multiple links.
diversity, you
Diver-
used to pick.
there should be diversity. It is also, it has ensured the multivocality, it ensured the active reading, multilinearity. So these concepts are overlapping, hypertext, properties of hypertext. Okay, but there is no question on hypertext, let me tell you. Okay, but at the same time, when you write about the difference between mass communication and media communication, you can write about hypertext. When you write about the characteristics of new media, you can write about hypertext. Because hypertext is very decisive features, interactivity is very decisive features of new media, not the mass media. Okay, so this is the context. Now, when we talk about this development of PC galactic and packet switching IoT, galactic network, there is a person that needs just to add on. Yeah.
So if we are watching a program and this link is disturbing us, so we as a user tend to switch to the links rather than watching a particular program or particular. So how is this feature a good advantages to actually?
No, no. When we talk about advantages or good advantage or bad advantage is there. Hmm. So now you can judge whether it is an advantage or disadvantage. Okay. So when you say that it is link has created that non-linear thought, it has actually facilitated non-linear thought. At the same time, it has given you options. You can also read an article in between. Link not only distracting, it will also provide you some background information. Okay, so it's up to you whether you can control your mind. As I have discussed about the dimension of interactivity, it has also given choice and active control on the part of the consumers. Active control, it's up to you how you control your mind. Okay, but definitely it is a kind of facility, so which will help you to understand more, to get the reference from history, to get more like cognitive or cognition about the problem, to build the cognition in the sense you have more and more understanding. It will remove your ambiguity about any kind of situation, any kind of event, any kind of issues. Okay, so definitely it is for the advantage, for the betterment of the reader. Now it will also help you to even communicate to the author. The chat facility, active reading. So active reading, you are not a passive reader. You are reading and simply consuming and then you sleep. You're actively reading. That means you are also responding to whatever you have read. So there is a chat facility available. There you have mentioned that okay, it is very good, or I have some comments. So I have critically examined this. So this is not likely, or this is likely.
Feedback.
Some feedback. So feedback provision is there. So that is what instantaneous feedback. So that also makes you an active reader. So that is a part of multilinearity. So that is linearity in terms of thinking, multilinearity in terms of thinking. And that has also, you say, that has already promoted that, you see, organic convergence. As we see, the culture, it is a culture, organic convergence. How we deal with. We are looking at a program, we are also sending a mail, we are reading a letter, and we are listening to a music also. So many things we are doing together. Like, there's an organic convergence. That's a culture that we have imbibed with. Okay, so because of that multilinearity in the thought process. Okay, so multivocality, it has also given different voices. Links are there. Earlier, you see, traditional newsroom has only one flow of information from top to bottom. So, in a Converse news setup, you have multiple voices coming up, and also you see why I have discussed about this participatory journalism before I discuss about wiki news. Okay, I've discussed about wiki. So I have not given shared any videos, but I have discussed about wiki. There is also a question on wiki. So you study about wiki, you go through what I have told you. So it's important to understand how wiki, even wiki is a technology. It's a new media technology. Blog is also a new media technology. Okay, wiki is different from blog. Social networking is different from blog and wiki, because these are new media technology. When you're talking about this new media, you need to understand the wiki platform, wiki technology. You need to understand the blog platform. How blog and wiki has facilitated this traditional concept like journalism. Okay, so it's very, very important. Now, why wiki? How wiki is being used? How blog is being used? Basically, blog is a personal diary. If you see blog itself is a personal diary which is used for, like, uh, writing any issues of your choice, and the very architecture of the blog, the very design of the blog will tell you that the posts are there in a reverse chronological order. Reverse chronological order. Reverse means not like one after another. So first you will on today I have written an article, it will be posted in that. Then the recent one will be posted, not like first, the second and third, not like that. Reverse chronological. It will replace the first and then it will come.
Like ascending order.
Descending order. So that is the descending order. That is a reverse chronological order which is there in the blog. But wiki has a different kind of order, right? But wiki has also provided you multilinearity. Blog has also provided you multilinearity because of the options of linking in between. You write an article in between. Suppose you have written an article on any issues related to Land Acquisition Act. Okay, so and while writing this article in between, you have some information about the amendment of the Land Acquisition Act. But there is a flow, so you can link that Acquisition Act, then you link to it. So create a separate page. You put up that information. So linearity, right? Multilinearity is there. Okay, so at the same time, people if wish to, they can go to that link, and if they don't wish, they will simply finish reading, and then they will go to that link. Okay, so it's up to you. So active control is very, very important. So along with interactivity, as I have told you, I have given you an assignment. You need to find out whether by looking at the interface only, you can judge whether it will ensure the active control or not. Or you can carry out a survey also among you, 5 of you, 6 of you.
Okay,
You give
repeat the assignment again.
Yeah, you have so many questions, like baseless kind of. There are so many. Tell you. So when we are talking about this, my assignment is related to interactivity. You were supposed to take one website. Okay, one or two websites. You can compare the interactivity of those two websites. When you say interactivity, there are different kinds of interactivity I have discussed. Navigational, interact back to what, and what to buy, then this navigation and menu bar, scroll menu bar. Then you see functional interactivity, which will ensure the connectivity to this to the author, or mail to. Suppose mail to functional because it will finish the task. Feedback is finished. Okay, then you say adaptive interactivity. Suppose there is some interactivity in the design which will help you to amplify that page so that later can be amplified, or change the whole template. Okay, and also see in Facebook nowadays, you will get to read some of the features of your interest, because algorithm make you, like, make some of the features which is salient to your interest. So that is adaptive interactivity. So you will see, so in terms of technology, what kind of adaptivity is being ensured in that page. And you can also carry out a survey among the friends in terms of finding active control, their satisfaction with the content and learning with this, like, interactivity, whether reading this article, whether they have, how far they have exercise active control. And you can study different features of hypertextuality, properties of hypertextuality, and also some dimension I have discussed, whether it will add to monitor the information, or whether it will give you those links, will give you the choice, exercise choice, whether it has given you some of this provision to add information. Okay, and also when we talk about this other dimensions, like, yeah, there are some dimensions I have discussed. Yeah.
Can you please repeat what we need to look out for if we use that?
Now you concentrate, for I'll definitely give the question. Okay. So I have already mentioned. I'm not going to repeat it again, because you see there will be repetition and repetition. There will be no new add-on. Okay. So hence I'll tell you in the sense what I want you to do. So there is a recorded lecture video on interactivity. You go through that, and I have already discussed about interactivity in the third class, right? So you go through that class lecture also. You miss that class lecture. So there are some interactive features. Interactivity actually stems from hypertextuality, and hypertext is is a, is a is a is a like that's a hyperlink that lined up the resources in the network, that you know. And when you talk about the hypertext, that is also markup language, not only a programming language, which is a part of standard generalized markup language. Okay, so hypertext is a part of standard generalized markup language, help you to organize a page, organize the text, video, audio, and in text only, that is called text only, that is text only, and ASCII format. Okay, so text only format and ASCII format. So that is hypertext. So it is a part of standard generalized markup language as GML. Okay, so this is called hypertext. If you look at it, the physical properties. Now, narrative properties of hypertext is different. Okay, which I have already discussed twice, thrice, and in that video also it is there. Okay, now hypertext has ensured interactivity. Now there are some dimensions which I have discussed. So you have to look into those dimensions while studying the website. You can take website or website. You study those various dimensions, those links. So links are also named, navigational links are there, adaptive links, functional links, okay, and whether it will ensure this multilinearity, multivocality, active reading, then it has increased the choice of the user, and then it will also lead you to monitor the content, it will lead you to add more information or not. Okay, so how far it will give satisfaction to the user, how far it will ensure active control of the user, okay, and how far also it will also lead to user learning, how far you have learned. Learning is very, very important, because if you look at the another feature of mass communication and media communication is that in media communication, information to entertainment ratio is more. So you usually get more information than entertainment in media communication. Definitely entertainment is one of the features. There are so many videos. Now they are specialized, like video blogs are there. So specialized channels are there. But you see, information to entertainment is more in media communication than in mass communication. And most of the time, we also, when you talk about the media communication, we talk about it's meant for public, no? Public communication has certain features. One is persistent. Okay, apart from this interpersonal uh, communications, interactivity, then also you see autonomy. It gives you more autonomy, more active control to choose the media, because you can produce your own content. That is autonomy. And you talk about citizen journalism nowadays, and web doesn't have any kind of gatekeepers. You see, there are gate watcher, and gate watcher can be even ISP, internet service provider, can be a gatekeeper. A filter can be also a net nanny, cyber filter. These are also, you see, gatekeepers. Filtering, who filter the content, they are actually the web-based gatekeepers. But when you talk about a gate watcher, we all are gate watcher. Okay, so when we talk about citizen journalism here, it's a very important concept in terms of new media, because technology has facilitated this journalism concept. There is also another component that is called CAR. So this is the component, this is called CAR. CAR means computer assisted reporting. Computer assisted reporting, that is CAR. Okay, CAR, computer assisted reporting. Okay. Now you see, when you say about computer assisted reporting is different from traditional reporting. We talk about citizen journalism, this is also part of computer assisted reporting. Reporting assisted by computer. Now you see, reporting not assisted by internet, assisted by computer. Now here you need to know the distinction between computer and internet. Okay, it's very, very important. Okay, so basically in computer assisted reporting, we provide you when computer some statistical packages like ICS, these are some statistical packages are also used to even analyze a report or data set. This reporting is meant for research oriented investigation. Okay, and it first came in 1967. 1967 during Detroit riot. Detroit riot in America. That Philip Mayer was the person who actually investigated among the African and American about the participation in the riot, and he used some statistical packages to understand, to even you say get the justification of the hypothesis that college dropout did take part more than a regular college attendant. Are you getting? So in any research, we usually has set a hypothesis, and he also tried to find out who actually participated in that riot. More Americans were participated or Africans were participated, and whether they were dropout or they were regular college attendant. And if he had a hypothesis that dropout participated more than regular college attendant, then that hypothesis was negated by that survey. So he has a huge data set. The data set that is also collected, the data collected from that survey. Now he needs the help of those statistical package to analyze the data, and that is a part of computer assisted reporting. So he also he has compiled that report with the help of that like technologies, and this is a part of data journalism also. Okay, so this is not necessarily you see citizen journalism because he is Philip Mayer from North Carolina University. He's an expert. I think he's journalism professor. I forgot. He's a journalist. Huh. So he is an academician. So he carried out. Now, academician also can come up with writing. So that was usually meant for journal. So whatever we write, we usually publish it in a journal, not in a regular newspaper, because we do have a different tone, right? So that tone is highly formalized instead of conversational, and newspaper look for a highly conversational tone, that is kiss and tell tone, keep it short and simple tone, and also need to fix it in an inverted pyramid. So when you use the computer assisted, talk about the computer assisted reporting assisted by computer, you cannot have rely on this hard news or inverted pyramid. So you need to go for a narrative style of storytelling style where you have more pages to even compile a report, because there is a detailed understanding and investigation into it. So basically you will choose for journal or magazine to publish your story. Okay,
Ma'am,
but
you mentioned two abbreviation SGMS capabilities. I'm very much new to this concept.
Which one?
SGMS and whatever was
okay.
called CAR.
Yeah.
So you're very much new to it.
Okay. Also, he taught us statistical analysis. He used actually statistical analytical system. That is, and there is a statistical SPS, a statistical package. I see. So there's also spreadsheet method. You know about spreadsheet? Spreadsheet is used basically. So we use it, and also this is a software which you will be getting it. But I don't think that now in research also you'll be using it now, because here I don't remember when we actually made people learn about SPSS, but that is actually meant for us, okay, for researcher. It's okay. So that is one thing. Okay, so statistical analytical system. So that is also there are software packages are there to analyze the data set. Okay, so that is actually meant, and you see the advantage of it. Advantage of it, yeah. Advantage of it will also make it, you see, much more, you see, memory wise, it can be retrievable. So storage capacity, accuracy will be accuracy, much more accuracy, cost effective, and it is open to interpretation. This report is open to interpretation, definitely. It will also give, as it is an investigation based on the statistical packages, so it will also give accuracy of this reporting. Okay, and second thing is always there. So more and more voices will always be there. So this is another concept. You see, this is different from citizen journalism at the same time, because citizen journalism is participatory. And when we are talking about the card, this card, pre-existed reporting, now we are talking about data journalism. Not everybody can do data journalism. Even in India also, hardly we can find an expert to teach you data journalism. So looking for an expert, even I'm looking for an expert. One of my friends who is Daniel is saying, I'm looking for an expert who needs to do data journalism, but there is no one. That is, there is one in Times of India, but again he has less time to provide, and they're not that interested to come like professionals. They feel they're not that interested. Most of the time, there are also problems regarding leave and all. So if they come here like for some other purpose, then they will simultaneously conduct one seminar or workshop. That is one thing. So now data journalism has come up, but this is basically meant for not for citizen. This is meant for expert only. But when you talk about the citizen journalism, that's a different concept. Citizen journalism. I have also introduced the topic in the last class, and I have, you see, I have also given you one question to it. And it is very, very important, and it is different from mainstream journalism, I have been telling you. And those distinctions, whichever I have discussed, I'm sure, and I'll also get some assurance that you can write on it. So you understand the distinction? Okay, so very easy. So citizen journalism, when you talk about the citizen journalism, then talk about Wiki. Wiki is a technology which facilitated citizen journalism. How it is complemented to mainstream journalism. Then you see blog. Blog is also a technology which has facilitated citizen journalism. How it is different from mainstream journalism and how it is complemented to mainstream journalism. It's very, very important. Because blog is a part of gift economy and journalism is a part of market economy. Okay, so if you know the distinction between the two, blog is a part of gift economy. Gift economy, why it is a gift economy, part of gift economy? Because this is a technology. Blog came in 1997. Okay, John Berger, he is the person associated with the blog. So this technology has been created out of holistic vision to create more participation among the public and the masses who wish to participate, who wish to write an article. Because in mainstream media, there is always a restriction in terms of getting this information. So earlier, what was the concept that democracy we have, hence we require this information. In journalism, in terms of journalism, we had a concept that we had a democracy and hence we required information. Now you see, that was a kind of demand we usually put for journalists, because journalist is the source of information. So we put a demand on the journalists that this is the democracy, we need information. We need information and it is your duty to give us the information. But nowadays, you see, we know that most of the time journalist is not that accountable to give us this information. We also see other side of journalism. So now we claim that we have information, now we seek democracy. And hence we talk about citizen journalism. There are portals like MaryNews.com, Muktapit. Muktapit is one, MaryNews.com, CBN, CNN, iFeatures. So there's so many, citizen journalism, and AssamTimes.com. So that is also .org, led by Rudin Gogoi in Assam. 200 journalists are being recruited and they're reported in different areas. Okay, so you see, they usually claim that information we have now we put democracy, and these are the examples of real democratization. And also there is a point that earlier we had a concept that you first filter out. Gatekeeper's role is to filter the content, put it into news hole, then it will get published. But nowadays, gatekeeper role, there is no gatekeeper's role. So we publish, then we filter out. So that is also a difference. And we see that journalist only one person or at the max two-person can write an article, not 11%. But in Wiki, you see, how many person can edit an article, and it will make sense. More and more user will contribute, will actually maintain the essence of this Wiki article, because all are registered users, and more number of users will also increase the network effect of that technology. So it is associated with the network effects. Okay, are you getting? So it is associated with this network effects. So when you're talking about more and more number of user of word, the size of that, like even network will be
Traffic,
bigger.
traffic of their website increase. Can you say
So
that?
that's what you want. They want them to install an app. Install an app not only for the promotion, but at the same time, it will also create a culture in you, because more and more people will install, definitely promote that, that particular that application or services, and when you yourself attach to your services, it will also instill an culture of whatever you see talking about poetry writing, suppose applications, each and everybody is installing. So there is a culture of poetry writing among you. So I would also envisage that all of you are becoming that's a budding poet. So you are installing that software. Other effects will be larger. And network effect is also the size of the network. So more and more people will join, size of the network will be bigger. So that is it. Now you see when you talk about citizen journalism, first is it will give the common people own the medium. Owning the medium, having the sense that I am the one who is owning the medium is a big deal. You are owning the medium. You are owning the media, right? So that was ownership is there. You have full power to take any decision. Okay, you can participate at the same time. Okay, you can participate in even editing, you can participate to decide the topic. As I told you, it is highly participatory. Citizen journalism is participatory journalism, and it will determine at what state you will participate. In the input state, providing the input to an article. As a source, you will provide input to an article, or provide input to an article as an outsider, but actually you have that right to edit somewhere or something in that article, isn't it? Or input state in a response state, you can provide response in this, only feedback provision is there. Suppose in the blog, you write a blog, you do not have any kind of, you won't give any control to the reader to even add on anything, right? In a blog, you can give control to the reader to even provide input in the response stage, but still it is participatory halfway round. But in Wiki, giving the reader participation in input in the response stage, and the architecture of Wiki is different. So it is contributed to journalism at the same time, provided that Wiki is based on the neutral point of view. So NOPV, I have told you, it has contributed to mainstream journalism at the same time, because many mainstream news websites have also employed this Wiki technology, and they're running Wiki nowadays. And there are some Wiki which are closed Wiki, only can be created by these editors. There are some Wiki which can be created by the community itself, that is meant for community, so where editor will not touch, will not make any change. Okay, and that is meant for the community. Community will come and edit those, design the topic, decide the topic, and they will decide the issues which is to be published. Communal, exclusive, some exclusive wiki where editor will publish the content which is being submitted by the users or the citizen. Open exclusive. So open exclusive wiki is different from open communal wiki and closed wiki. In the last class, we have discussed about closed wiki. We discussed about open communal wiki. Okay, and we have discussed about open exclusive wiki. Okay, these are the one. Okay. Now, when you talk about, I thought of actually taking a class on this evolution of internet. Okay, so you also need to know evolution of internet. Two technologies are very very important. Internet is different from computer. And meanwhile, I would also like to know queries from you. If you have any queries, further queries, because exam is nearby. So whatever I have discussed in the class, so in the very first video, you will get to find about this characteristics of new media, and I think that aware of now. You know about the characteristics of new media. Okay, you know about the difference between new media, old media, mass communication, public communication, or media communication. Right? You know about interactivity now, right? You know there's interactivity. You know about convergence. In a convergence, also I have discussed about different types of convergence, which are very very important. And especially when we discuss about digital convergence is different, definitely. But when you talk about media convergence, there are also five types of convergence which are facilitated, which have facilitated the media convergence. Like convergence, ownership convergence, I have discussed. Convergence in storytelling. The same story is told by different form, told in a different format. Okay, that is convergence in storytelling. Then also we talked about this tactical convergence. So tactical convergence when there is a switching of journalists and newsmakers from one organization to other organization. Okay, switching off like video, that is a that camera crew will also like get a this DSLR with to keep photographs for the partner newspaper that print one. So that is a tactical convergence. Tactical. That is a tactical convergence. Okay. So that demand of the convergence of you need to do. Demand of the convergence want you to do multitasking. You know? So wanting to like get into different mode at once. Okay, so it's very, very important. At the same time, newsroom is highly chaotic, getting very, very chaotic. Chaotic because there are a number of you see report news report and the case releases from different corners. And as you discuss about the sources in journalism, there are different sources. And so there are local authorities. They will also like they will mm, they're struggling to get a space, and other space religions, even from celebrity, from other industrial houses, will also get in like a space in the convergence. So news, I'll say that journalist is not only the journalist or newsmaker is not associated with the newsmaker. So there are different factors. All these specific regions, the local authorities who have a council, this council employ the journalist as a buffer between them. They will also try to get a space in this newspaper. So different kind of space religious will get a space in the newspaper in a converse newspaper. And so that is why tactical convergence is important. And convergence in storytelling. So storytelling is important. How we tell the story with the help of multimedia. Convergence in ownership is important. As I have already told you, ownership convergence. I have discussed it in the last class. It is important. And also, you talk about this organic convergence. Organic convergence is the culture. Organic convergence. We will discuss more about it. Organic convergence. We'll discuss more about it in later class. But this is you at least the concept you need to understand. Organic is basically organic convergence, which actually is demanding this multitasking. So it is important. Digital convergence, yeah, important at the same time when we talk about this convergence of content creation and convergence of content distribution and you see consumption. Convergence or convergence of content creation and content consumption and distribution to technologies or integration of content creation technologies and content distribution and you see consumption technologies like a mobile phone is a technology of creation, content creation. At the same time you can write this MS Office can be installed, you can create a content and you can distribute in a WhatsApp group. You can also convert it to a PDF, distribute WhatsApp group for mail, sending. So you can convergence of content creation and distribution. There's a portable device, highly portable device, converge device. Interactive TV is a converge device. So example of content creation and distribution, which was not even possible like a few years ago. So there are also incompatibility, which we have discussed in terms of software incompatibility. So what is important in terms of digital convergence is to remove that like incompatibility and talk about interoperability. It's very, very important and have a standard about interoperability. Now, you see, so that is important. Uh, okay. question, any confusion? Anything else? No? Regarding the evolution of this internet, okay, evolution, I will say you quickly, I will give us quickly. Don't go through because it is not for midterm. I'm telling you those, there are few people who will be very sincere to study all the content, but there will be few who will actually go for selective study. And there will also be few who are always will be confused at this very point of time to pick what to choose, what not to choose, and hence it is for them. So when we talk about the evolution of internet, because it is also related to this differences between new media and old media. So there is also was difference between computer and internet, right? So internet is a network, as I've already told you, network of millions of resources and databases which is existed across those world. So that is what is internet. Okay. So when you talk about this internet, that concept came in 1957. 1957, that concept actually came in, that internet concept. Many times it is also said that computer and internet are simultaneous. But at the same time, we also see computer in the concept, if we divide it, internet, and here we will divide computer. Okay? So this is computer, this is internet. Computer came in 1947 actually. Do you know the first computer? It came in
Electronics.
ENIAC, right? So ENIAC is the first computer.
Military one, no?
ENIAC.
It is military.
At back.
Yeah.
That is actually it was the first computer. It took a large room. Both room it took. It has got
Some MB
uh,
or something like that.
so you know that so it has got a like this set of like switching off and switches. So to on and off, windows are there switching, and it used a vacuum tube. Vacuum tube it has used, right? So ENIAC, when ENIAC was turned on, the like the city, that Philadelphia, the lights of Philadelphia, like it's gone. So it was see the power. So that was this power of this computer during that period of time. And then we have actually getting a miniature version of computer really. So we also talk about this microcomputer.
First generation.
That is a microcomputer was also used, but that was the size of a refrigerator. That was basically used for payroll purpose, that analyzing the payroll in the bank, as well as other statistics in the bank. So basically used for statistical purpose and other financial purpose in bank during that period of time. But when you talk about this internet, internet has a like that military purpose or defense purpose because it came into being during the Cold War period. So Cold War period. So we talk about the satellite. Sputnik satellite was the first satellite that was actually installed by Russia. So in Earth orbit. So in order to give a response to Russia, US has set up an advanced research project agency network that is called ARPA. ARPA. That is the Advanced Research Project Agency Network. That is the network in order to study the progress of technologies for military purpose, different progress of technology, and also to you say challenge the technological advances of the Russia. So it came in 1957. So that was ARPANET. When you say ARPANET, ARPANET is a highly restricted net. In the sense, it is meant only for the expert and for military personnel and who are living in a far-flung areas who are supposed to you say have a research on the advancement of the technologies for military purpose. They will actually discuss about how technology could be progressed and could also be you see could also be developed for military purpose. So purpose is restricted to military. Even also the user group is also very consolidated, those experts and academicians, researchers, as well as military. Okay, but you see, during ARPANET came in
40.
19 is the 19th, actually we say 67, but you say ARPANET lasted 1980s also. Because why I say 67, during that period, galactic network and packet switching came up. This is the two ideas which actually facilitated this internet. Okay, this two ideas Because in most of the, you also say ARPANET came in not 60s, 70s. So during that period, we talked about galactic network. Galactic network, you might have found this kind of picture everywhere where each network is connected to everyone of their name. Like that, you see, galactic network. So like that, each node is connected to everyone in that network. So this concept was actually analyzed by John Licklider. Licklider. John Licklider proposed that concept in 1967 with galactic network concept. And another concept is packet switching. Packet switching, when is messages are broken into some package and they are also put in an envelope. Envelope written the address and also provided the address to a destination computer. Then envelopes were also sent separately and individually to reach the destination computer. So that was an idea actually. That was an idea. Like the galactic network idea came in, then packet switching idea also came in. Okay, and then it will also take separate route at the receiver's computer. So these two were very important ideas. So that was the packet switching and galactic network. And the person whose name was associated with packet switching was, you see, uh, Leonardo Kleinrock. Kleinrock. So he is the person whose name is associated with that technology. Okay, Leonardo Kleinrock. So then we talk about this development of internet. So Usenet is another concept that came in. Usenet. Usenet is called the poor man's internet. Poor man's internet, Usenet. USC, Usenet is called poor man's internet because it is usually used by the students of University, Duke University and University of North Carolina in order to study the advances of technology and also study diverse topics. So it has a provision of creating a news group and mailing list. So they can create different group based on the topic of interest. Okay, and also it has a provision of mailing list in it. So they can also send the mail. And the Usenet doesn't have any kind of restriction in terms of technicalities and procedure. But ARPANET had restriction in terms of procedures and technicalities. But it doesn't have that restriction. So it was actually created by the students of Duke University and University of North Carolina. Okay, so you see that thereafter ENIAC, e-computer ENIAC came up. So we have also different developments. We will be taking, I'm going very brief, we'll be discussing the next class. So we talk about this microcomputers with the science of refrigerator. Then we have use of SEEP, which you make it a computer which we are using now, the version of this computer. So then there is also importance regarding this software development. Software development, when you talk about development of software, initially software developers in India face huge bottleneck in terms of getting clearance from the government and even commercial entity. And they need to get the RBI approval in order to set up overseas branches. Even if software company wanted to have overseas branches, they wanted to get clearance from government and RBI. And also, we did not have high speed data connectivity network, and hence we did not have software technology back. So those were disadvantages because of which those developers they did not have those marketing opportunities or even some kind of that expansion or venture capital hmm, through which they can expand their business. So those were some of the lacunas, but you see during Rajiv Gandhi's government and also ISP's policy was there. There was ISP's policy, 1980. That was a policy that came in, a new telecommunication policy, which is much more reformist and much more progressive to change the whole architectures of software developers. At the same time, it has also allowed these commercial, you see, this commercial vendors to establish their, you see, infrastructures in India without relying on the government infrastructures. And accordingly, we have actually see this internet cafe as well as cyber cafes across the India. Okay, so first internet cafe, the cyber cafe came here in commercialized cafe came in 1995. You know, so telecom revolution has already started. So telecom also faced a lot of bottlenecks from government. Telecommunication, when you're talking about this revolution of this telecommunication, it has faced lot of bottlenecks from the government because you see, because of the monopoly of government agencies, they did not even give any clearance to those private like sectors to even install their services. But one person, Satyam Sam Pitrola, was the man behind this telecom revolutions. And in internet and in terms of the software revolutions, we had a software revolutions took place in 1990s and 1995. So it's very, very important to understand the software revolutions because that has actually created some even technology task force in across all the stage, which has also given, you see, avenues to software developers to even go and open like overseas branches. At the same time, they are not simply exporting their software; they have also created their market outside. So we earn lot of revenue. That is called CAGR. So compound annual growth rate has been also increased during 1990s, 1990 like 8. So it was increased, and because of those softwares, you see, so and that has accentuated this computer or internet revolution in India. And earlier, so internet, when you say internet, it was meant only for the universities for research work. RNet is there. We talk about this RNet, Educational Research Network, that was there. Educational, electronic educational research network was there. RNet, we talk about the tejuarnet.in. So we talk about this educational research network. So it is meant for universities and to carry out academic research. Okay, it was not for commercial purpose. So for commercial purpose, the internet was made available after 1995 when Cyber Cafe was first initiated in Bangalore. So it is also associated with Coffee Day Cyber Cafe. So people have that coffee, and then they will actually log into a computer, and they will have a luxury experience and different rich experience. So you see, coffee when first also served with like in a cappuccino, different varieties like of the coffee. You might know better, and also different kind of snacks are also made available. So accordingly, so that has created a kind of interest among the youth and young to even go to cyber cafe and get information. So how to create awareness? Also make them get interested in this new informational device. So that was the Coffee Day Cyber Cafe. It was started. Okay, so that is if you look at this history, so you'll get to it's very very interesting actually. So that also shows the evolution of this computer. So you Usenet after Usenet, we also get to find how Unet has been expanded. Unet is there in European countries, and here in India we usually get to find we have also started using this TCP/IP protocol development of it. So in the West, block has developed. Gradually, we have also used. So when you are talking about this timeline of different technologies, like you have blog, you have wiki, we need to find when it was, when it came. Suppose blog came in 1997. So Usenet came in 1979. So you have a timeline. Usenet came in 1979. Arnet actually came in 1989. During that period, 1989, 90. Okay. Then we talk. It is for India. And when you talk Usenet, it is a world. That is the and also you see earlier net concept were restricted. Net concept was restricted to only USA. Okay. So they had the provision of giving the domain name. Not anyone else can give the domain name. We talk about domain name system is there. So instead of IP addresses, okay, domain name system. Each and every computer is having a domain name. Okay, right. Each and every computer is having an IP address. IP address, you know what is that IP address? That identifying the computer.
Address of the sites, address of the sites, particular,
Right. So, and so we have that domain name. Domain name actually it was domain naming provision was restricted to USA. Once net has been proliferated across the world, then an international body was created, and that was known as ICANN. ICANN, Internet Corporation for Agile Net and Number. Okay, that ICANN was created, International Corporation for Agile Net and Number was created, and through a memorandum of understanding which was signed between ICANN and USA, so domain naming provision was entrusted to ICANN. So these are also some of the organizations which has facilitated evolution of internet. Okay, so it's very, very important. Should I continue or I'll continue? I'll continue. Yeah, 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 sure. So I have to pick up my child also. I have to pick up my child. Huh? Huh? Are you sure you can write? Huh? Because you have got lot of recorded video lectures, and those of you who are still feel confused, you can come, and who has some language barriers, I'm telling you, and openly, and you also be very open and frank to me. I do not have any issues. You come, I can also give a lecture in Assamese. I do not have any problem in Hindi. Okay, you come and see me. I will try my best to accommodate you. So those who have problem in understanding, but you need to read first. Without reading, you cannot simply come to me that, ma'am, I have this problem. You first go through it because I'm going to ask you something at least. You know, at least the terms can be remembered, no? If you don't understand the gist of that term, that is different. But you can remember the term, right? So go through these recorded lecture videos and whatever I have provided as a class lecture. Okay? So it's important. So ICANN is important. There are also other bodies like IGF, Internet Engineering Task Force is there. Okay, then ISOC is there, Internet Societies. These are organizations which has facilitated the evolution of Internet. Internet organization which has been like working on the specification of this technological standard across this world. But this is not that important. But the thing is that I thought of taking this class. There is also a region. After the end of the exam, I thought that I'll take the first class. Yeah, because I'm looking on हो जाएगा? Yeah. Any other confusion? Any other confusion?